Welcome to Let Us Seek the Lord. Today is January 31st, and we're going to be looking at Genesis 32. Uh, Let Us Seek the Lord is a series of daily meditations on the glory of Christ, where we systematically work through the scripture, beginning with Genesis to the end of the Bible. It'll take us about 3.5 years to do this. And so if you'd like more information that's written, you can go to amazon.com/author/J. Craig Chaffin, and you can get written materials there. So let's get busy reading. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Then God sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir, in the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Speak to my lord Esau. Thus your servant Jacob says, I have dwelt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find favor in your sight." Then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." So Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. He divided his people that were with him, and the flocks, and the herds, and the camels, and into two companies. And he said, "If Esau comes to the one company and attacks it, then the other company which is left will escape." Then Jacob said, "Oh, my fathers, my father Abraham, the God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, 'Return to your country and to your family, and I will deal well with you.' I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which you have shown your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me and the mother with the children. For you said, I will surely treat you well and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for the multitude." So he lodged there that same night, and he took what came to his hand as a present for Esau, his brother: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. Then he delivered them to the head of his servants, every drove by itself, and he said to the servants, "Pass over before me and put some distance between the successive droves." And he commanded the first one, saying, "When Esau my brother meets you and asks you, saying, 'To whom do you belong, and where are you going? Whose are these in front of you?' Then you shall say, 'They are your servants, Jacob's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us.'" So he commanded the second and the third and all who followed the droves, saying, "In this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find him. And also say, 'Behold, your servant Jacob is behind us.' For he said, 'I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterwards I will see his face. Perhaps he'll accept me.' So the present went on before him, but he himself lodged that night in the camp. And he rose that night and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. And he took them and set them over the brook, and he sent over what he had. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now when he, meaning the man, saw that he, meaning the man, did not prevail against him, meaning Jacob, he, the man, touched the socket of his hip. And the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he, the man, said, "Let me go, for the day breaks." But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said to him, what's your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked, saying, tell me your name, I pray. And he said, why is it you ask about my name? And the man blessed him there. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Peniel means face of God. Just as he crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him, and he limped on his hip. Therefore, to this day, the children of Israel do not eat the muscle that shrank, which is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip in the muscle that shrank. I shared with you yesterday that how the Lord spoke to me and told me to return to the land of my fathers. And in the intervening year, 9 months, many events filled my life that taught me that the Lord was with me and my family. My son left for Iraq for 15 months. My father-in-law died. My house burned down. I visited Senegal and Germany. My first granddaughter was born and died 2 days later. Another son married. Finally, on May 1st of 2008, I arrived in the land of my fathers. When I returned, I was not specifically sure why he wanted me back in the land of my fathers. After returning, my oldest brother died, and my father died. I had a little bit of responsibility in caring for my mother until she died in 2020. In January of 2009, I became the pastor of Christian Missionary Alliance Church of Stillwater. I guess all of those are reasons enough to know why God sent me back to the land of my fathers. Jacob's promise to the Lord at Bethel had been if the Lord would indeed be with him and bring him home safely to his father's house, then he would return to Bethel. And the Lord would indeed be his God. Not somebody else's, not his dad's God, but his God. If we were headed home for Bethel, he should have crossed the Jordan north of the Sea of Galilee. What's he doing on the east side of the Jordan? Well, Edom, where Esau lived, is a little bit to the east of the Dead Sea and south. So perhaps that's why he's moving there. He's still not sure that he can return to his father's house safely. There's still the matter of his relationship with Esau. It must have been very comforting as he reached the Jabbok River to see an army of angels waiting there to meet him. It's at this point that he has the confidence to send word to Esau and that he's coming home. God protected him from Laban, but is this army of angels really there to protect him? It's out of the frying pan and into the fire. Yeah, the Lord was with Jacob. He caused Laban to avert his wrath upon Jacob, but the Lord told Jacob to go back to the land of his fathers, the land of his family. When Jacob was last home 20 years prior, his brother Esau wanted to see him dead. Had the intervening 20 years changed anything in Esau? Had Esau gained the ability to forgive Jacob? Or had it merely allowed it to fester? Jacob didn't know, but he needed to find out. He sent Esau a large gift to show that he did not need any of the family wealth. He was not coming to get his blessing. He was wealthy enough without the inheritance that was due him. Esau responds by coming to meet Jacob with 400 men. Why would Esau do that? Had his anger indeed festered against Jacob? Was he coming to wipe out Jacob? Or was he afraid of Jacob? Was he making a show of force to Jacob that he was well established and that Jacob had better not attempt to take any of the inheritance from Esau. Whatever Esau's intent was, it was certainly intimidating to Jacob. There's no way that he could defend himself against 400 men, even though he had quite a number of servants. Yeah, he jumped out of the frying pan and into the proverbial fire. He divided his camp and family into two groups, hoping that if Esau took one group, then the other group could escape. After a time of prayer, he sent gifts in droves to Esau. As night approached, he settled in. He settled his family, sending them across the Jabbok, remaining there alone until he wrestled with God. The text says it's a man. Well, I would say it's a God man. Jacob, as he wrestled with him, finally realized that it was a God man. God, why did you send me back to my family's land if Esau's coming to kill me? He wouldn't let go of the man form of God. God asks, what do you want, Jacob? His reply, I want you to bless me. Would it be a blessing without sorrow? On the eve of this momentous meeting with Esau, a meeting which defined the direction of his life from this point on, a meeting which might determine life or death for Jacob, he doesn't ask for peace with Esau. He takes time to wrestle with God, simply asking for God's blessing. See, when God blesses, he adds no sorrow to it. Jacob's conniving had done nothing but bring sorrow and pain for the last 20 years. The blessing which he connived for had always had strings attached. When God gave his blessing, what was it? He gave Jacob a new name. Jacob, it means heel catcher or deceiver, supplanter. Jacob is now Israel, which could mean one of several things. It can mean he who rules with God. Wow, that's quite a name. Or he who struggles with God, which he had been doing. Or an honest man of God, which Jacob had certainly not been to this point. Jacob received his blessing, a new character exhibited by a new name. He still didn't let go of the God-man. The God-man who gave him a new name. Jacob had to know his name. He had to know his character. What was the God-man's response? It was simply, why is it you ask about my name? I know how the CEV translates it. Or I like how the CEV translates it. It says, don't you know who I am? Don't you know who I am? Jacob, I told your mother that your brother would serve you. I told her that you would receive the blessing. Jacob, I met you at Bethel and promised to be with you. I watched over you for the last 20 years as you served Laban. I kept Laban from bringing you harm. I'm the one who's been with you all this time. Haven't you figured me out yet? I think down through the ages, God still asks those kind of questions of us. Why did God bring Jacob back to the land? Maybe his biggest purpose was just so that Jacob could figure out who God is. Why did God bring me back to Stillwater? My brother and dad died shortly after I returned. Why did God bring me back? Maybe it's so that I and others could figure out who he is. It's his glory to reveal who he is and that he's with us. He wants us to experience his presence. That is part of his glory. He wants us to wrestle with him. He wants us to know that that's part of his glory, is wrestling with him. He wants to give us a new character. That's his glory. In the midst of walking with him, we figure out what he's like. That's his glory. Indeed, we serve a glorious King. Speak his glory to someone today.